So the hotelier is derived from the word hotel, which when you're talking about hotel, of course, everyone can be able to relate with it. A hotel is an establishment that offers food, drinks, and accommodation. Okay, when you're walking into a hotel, you expect to find food, you expect to drink, then at least there is a place for you to be able to rest. And that's where we derive our word hotelier from. And sometimes the hotelier, we call them the innkeepers. So sometimes you might find a word like this. An innkeeper also refers to a hotelier. Okay, so who is an innkeeper or hotelier? Hotelier is someone who runs a hotel. Okay, so it can be the general manager who makes sure that everything, the hotel is run well, the guests are enjoying themselves, the staff are working in a safe environment, and so on. So we are going to see the relationship between the hotelier and the guest. What are they supposed, what relationship do they have, the hotelier and the guest? So you note the hotelier, apart from you running the hotel, you also have a responsibility to be able to make sure that the people that come to your hotel are well catered for. And of course, our law provides that. There is a group, I think, which is going to talk about the contract of booking. I think that we'll do it maybe in the other sessions to come. And so there are responsibilities that are there for the hotelier, responsibilities in terms of duties, what they are supposed to do, and also maybe the guests also have their own responsibilities that also they need to do whenever they come to the hotel for it to be able, at least for there to be able to be a smooth transaction. Okay, so number one, maybe we can talk about the duties of an innkeeper or a hotelier. So it is very important for you to be able to note whenever I'm talking about the hotelier, I mean the innkeeper, and when I mention the innkeeper, I mean the hotelier, so don't get confused. So one of their duties is basically to receive guests, and making sure that they provide accommodation. Okay, so maybe if you cannot be able to hear me, you can be able to notify me. I can see that Redemptor has already joined. So Redemptor, I don't know what happened to the group. You're already late. You are supposed to at least present for today. So can you please tell me what is happening? Are you ready to present, or? So are you ready for the presentation, right?
We aren't.
Okay, because I have just done a small introduction. I haven't gone into the topic, but remember that these topics is just for you to give an overview what you found. Then maybe I can be able to wrap it up. Then I can be able to send you the notes. Okay. So basically, it's just for me to be able to weight you or give you marks depending on your research and your presentation ability. Okay, so maybe if you're ready, I can be able to make you a presenter and you can introduce maybe the group members that you are with. So if you have any questions for their group, you can be able to write them down at the public chat. They can be able to answer them, or I can be able to answer for them. So as we go on. So Redemptor, do you have maybe do you have any documents that you want to show us, e.g. maybe a PowerPoint? Redemptor has gone. Pardon? Peter, I'm not able to hear you.
Let me notify Redemptor because he's losing the internet. I don't know what is happening. Because he was supposed to start the introduction.
Okay, I really don't know what is happening from your side because I can hear a lot of scratches. I think Redemptor, I think there's a problem with the mic. Am I the only one who is hearing the destructive noise from Redemptor's mic?
No.
You're also hearing the same, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Redemptor, I think you can be able to go back and try adjusting your mic. Redemptor, if you can hear me, please go back and adjust your mic because we cannot actually be able to hear you clearly. The voice is a bit interruptive. The same problem. Just try refreshing again. Maybe you see whether the problem, goes away.
You can actually mute her.
Oh, okay, because she is supposed to present, or she's not.
She's supposed to start.
Yes, and if she's supposed to start, then how can I be able to mute her? She's one of the presenters. So if she does not sort out the mic, then I think that will be a problem. Redemptor, please try refreshing. Refresh again. So, Peter, do you want to start? Because this session, I'm actually recording it for the purposes of Redemptor. Still, there is a problem. I don't know what is happening from your side. Whatever you are using, maybe the microphone is a problem. Please text. So, Peter, I'm telling you that Peter and the rest of the group, we are recording this session. Remember that you haven't been able to record the other sessions because of technical problems. And but this session will be able to be recorded and be available for the ones maybe who the other students, especially the evening students. Some of you are not able to join this morning session, and so it is very important for them at least to be able to catch up with us on what we are supposed to do. So I think maybe Peter, you can be able to start as we wait for Redemptor. So if you have any PowerPoint presentation that you want to upload for us to be able to see, you can be able to tell me like your presenter so that you are able to upload your work.
Actually, I don't have the PowerPoint form. Was
So you don't have a PowerPoint?
yeah.
No, okay. So you can be able to start, so that we do not waste a lot of time.
Okay, based on what I got, because most of the parts was presenter, so I went on and got some steps of how an hotelier and the guest should relate. Am I audible enough?
Yes, we can be able to hear you. So unless there is anyone who has a challenge from their own side, you can be able to notify us. So if you cannot be able to hear Peter while he is speaking, then kindly just text for us to be able to help you.
Okay, I went on ahead and I'll go straight as you have started. I'll go ahead and say the duties that a hotelier or an innkeeper is supposed to do to his or her guests. And I will start with duty. The duties to the guests are supposed to receive from the innkeeper or the hotelier is the very first and most important public duty of the hotel is to of the hotel is the duty to receive guests, as you stated earlier. But the duty is not absolute and is subject to lawful excuses. Hotels may generally deny accommodations to a prospective guest for the following reasons. Uh, if a person is unwilling or unable to pay for a room or other establishment or privileges, and the innkeeper or the hotelier should be able to accommodate the person freely. The next point, if the person is visibly under the influence of alcohol or other drugs or creating a public nuisance, I don't know if excuse me.
Yes, Peter, what's up?
Is anything I'm saying even relevant, because the most of the part Demta was supposed to take over?
Who was supposed to take over?
Redempt. I see how he has already entered.
Okay, Redemptor, have you sorted out the problem with your mic?
Not yet.
But right now it is working. Right now it's better. I'll be able to hear you.
Okay. I did research on hotelier as I started from the definition of hotelier that we have already defined as a hotelier is a French term meaning a hotel keeper or innkeeper. Most cases, some people in hotels may not be able to see an hotelier maybe in a hotel. Maybe somebody, for example, somebody is in a hotel. He may not be able to see an hotelier, but an hotelier is responsible for hiring and managing staffs and keeping things in the hotel running smoothly. I think that is one of the major key factor, major duties of the hotelier in a hospitality industry or in a hotel. I went ahead again, searching for the factors affecting hotels industry today. One of the key factors is today what is affecting the hotel industry, that is hoteliers also and the guests, is the cancellation of flights. Customers or guests may not be able to visit or book appointments for the particular hotel. Now this is affecting them. The decrease in tours and travels and mostly the flights. Another thing is I don't know if I'm clear. Excuse me.
Yes, Redemptor, you are clear. You're clear. I can hear you well.
Okay. Another thing that is affecting hotels today, it is some of the hotels which were affected today are the KFCs, Cops, Dominion Pizzas, the Burger King. Nowadays, they are most affected due to people are not supposed to go to eateries and eat. I think that is another reason due to this pandemic. I think those are the points that I'm having. Maybe you can go on or clarify on something.
Okay, Redemptor. So was there any other group member? Because I've only heard from Peter, you. Any other person who was supposed to present in your group?
We had Cynthia and Dennis.
So where is Dennis? And where is Cynthia? Did you notify them that they're supposed to be presenting today?
Yes, I notified them.
Okay, just send them a reminder again. Because I think I saw Dennis trying to type, then he disappeared again. Maybe he might be having some technical problems from his side. So Redemptor just get to know what the problem is from them. So Peter, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, let me add something. Well, I went across some duties of hoteliers towards the guest. Maybe or a hotel owner are not liable for every, and these are the scenarios that maybe the hotels and the guests face in the hotels. So I listed them, and here they are. In hotels, they are not liable for every accident or loss that occurs on the premises, nor do they ensure the absolute safety of every guest. The second one was hotels have a general duty to exercise reasonable care for the safety and security of their guests. Hotels have a general duty to reasonably protect guests from harm caused by other guests or non-guests. Hotels are not liable for harm to persons or property unless faulty to be established against the hotel. Another point is hotels are generally liable for damages if they cannot honor a confirmed reservation because of overbooking. In case a hotel overbooks and a guest appears with, and the hotel has no general liable damages, they cannot honor and confirm the reservation. Another point is hotels may generally sue for damages or retain deposits if confirmed reservations are not honored by prospective guests. Another point is hotels may generally evict registered guests for a variety of well-established reasons. Yeah, those were some few points again when going through the hotelier and the guests.
Okay, that is good, Peter. So, any other member of your group? Redemptor, did you get
Yes.
Cynthia?
Cynthia, I've already talked to her
Mm-hmm.
and she's coming in.
What about James?
Dennis, I'm not getting him.
Okay, that's fine. That is good, Redemptor. Peter, at least I can see that you have some knowledge about who is the hotelier and who is the guest. And of course, when we are talking about the hotelier and the guest, you have to note that our main focus is more of what really happens, what kind of relationship do they have between themselves. You being a hotelier, for example, and having guests, what are some of the responsibilities or the duties that you have to them? Okay, just like, for example, just let us just have a scenario whereby you are at home and you get a visitor. Okay, so how do you behave with your visitor? So first of all, you have to welcome them, you have to make them comfortable, you have maybe to provide maybe meals and drinks, of course, for your visitor. If they are going to stay over, you will make sure that at least you are providing a comfortable bed for them maybe to sleep on, and other necessities which maybe they might be able to require. Remember, this is your visitor. You'll have to make them comfortable. And apart from you making them comfortable, you will also guarantee them your protection. Immediately a visitor comes to your place, you will always want to make sure that everything is okay. Make sure that they are free from harm. their things are safe, okay, whatever that they have, they are safe, and so on. And of course, also maybe for instance, because we're talking about the scenario of you having a guest, then also a guest also has a responsibility to you, okay? So you don't expect them definitely to steal from you. You don't expect them to be chaotic. You don't expect them to behave in a manner which is not permittable, especially in your house. Like, for example, if you have small kids, then you wouldn't want a visitor who comes and maybe he or she is drunk, maybe becoming so abusive, and so on. So the same way, when you're talking about the hotelier and the guest, you will notice that you will want to make them comfortable, not only because they are going to pay you at the end of the day because it is a job, but also you want that relationship to continue. And as you note that I say that most of the time is that when you are to work in the hotel industry, or maybe if you have an establishment, you will always want your guests to keep on coming. Today they are there, tomorrow you are expecting them. If there is a place they will always want to be, is your hotel. Okay, so you'll always want to make the place so comfortable for them to be able to enjoy their stay, or rather even to market your establishment to other friends that they might, wherever they will be going back. As Redemptor mentioned about the factors which are currently affecting the hospitality industry, and they are really hitting hard on our hotels, mainly because we depend on the international travels, the international tourism, which is really doing good, especially into our hotels, bringing a lot of revenues and so on. So if we do not have our guests, then it means that we do not have revenues, in short. Okay, so we don't have people we are going to tend to, and of course it affects so badly at times like this, even the pandemic, which is crippling each and every sector. So we are not only the sector that is being affected, but most sectors are being affected by this pandemic. So it doesn't mean that when you are talking about hospitality, uh, it is like we are the only ones who get affected by these tragedies and so on. It is a lot of sectors get affected as well. So we are not exceptional, neither are we the only ones. So, but for us, it's because in hospitality, we offer personalized service, okay? So we come into contact with our guests most of the time because there is no way you can be able to offer hospitality if you do not even get to speak and smile and, the guests to be able to feel your presence. I don't know whose mic is on. Cynthia? Cynthia, can you hear me? Cynthia, try muting your mic. So, Cynthia, you had a presentation that you're supposed to make, right?
Yeah.
So, what were you to talk about?
The contract of booking and the things Hotelier will do to change the guest experience.
The contract of booking, I think, is being handled with another topic, with another group. Sorry. So, what else? What else about apart from the contract of booking?
Things hoteliers should do to change guest experience.
And what else?
Rights and obligalia.
Okay. So maybe you can give us an overview of your findings before I continue.
Hoteliers should do change their guest experience. They should show appreciation to their guests. Number 2, offering free amenities that matters, like inclusive rates, inclusive meals. They should share local expertise in their hotels. They should be responsible and available for any issue going on in their hotels. They should always remember their manners and their duties. They should get to know their guests well, their requirements, and what they like most. And they should be inclusive in their rates, like they should include dietary options, special needs for and care for small children. And that is all. And rights and obligation for hotelier, they should be given a maximum time to vacate the hotel around 12 a.m. And if they are to stay or prolong their visit, at least half a day they should pay half the rate and vacate around 5 p.m. in the evening. They should take care of their rooms and leave them in order. I have only those.
Okay. Okay, Cynthia, that is good, but I wish you could have given more explanation to them. You just pointed out what they are, but you didn't like give a small description. Okay. So this goes to each and every group. A presentation is not only you just reading whatever that you just found out. It is also trying to make us maybe understand more. So when you're telling us about that the guest is supposed to be able to take care of their rooms, okay? So give us examples. And that's why it is very important for you to get a presentation. You might ask why, do a presentation and so on. A presentation makes you get a deeper understanding of the topic that you have been given in advance. And that topic, you get to research it and get to know and get maybe more examples. And those are the examples that you need also to give us. Like, for example, you need, maybe, for example, when you're talking about maybe making sure that they are keeping the rooms maybe safe, then you can be able to talk about maybe not being able to break things anyhowly. Like, for example, you don't need to break the bed. There's no need for you to break the bed. There's no need to go, breaking the knobs of the maybe the wardrobes or the doors and all that. So remember, when you are going to talk about the contract of booking, then we can be able to explore deeper understanding into maybe the one that Cynthia has mentioned about maybe vacating the rooms at 12. Okay, they are always whenever you are signing into the contract, whenever you want to reserve a room or when you are getting into a room, then you need to sign a contract. If for instance you do not abide to whatever that you signed into, then there are consequences, of course. And those are the things maybe the group that is going to talk about the contract of booking, they are going to talk into depth. Okay, so please try giving examples, and that's why you will always find challenges, especially when you get questions asking you to describe, questions asking you to explain. You will actually lose a lot of marks. Okay, so it is very important to be able to learn on how to give a further explanation to something. Okay, so just don't feel comfortable when you're just mentioning something. Okay, getting a brief description of something. Always try as much as possible to explain further. Okay, it makes you understand. It also makes you, uh, get even points if you get a question that requires explanation. And giving examples is mandatory, especially if it is an explanation question. Maybe, for example, you are asked maybe to explain the relationship between a hotelier and a guest. You need to give an example, okay? Like, for example, when I'm even giving you scenarios, I'm bringing the point home for you to be able to understand, okay, so the same way that I treat a guest at home, so I can be able to reciprocate the same in a professional way when I am in the hotel industry. So at least you can be able to relate the two. So I think for the first group, maybe you did not know on the expectations of the presentation, but I think the other groups won't be able to have an exemption for that, because I've already told you, okay, what is expected whenever you're giving a presentation. Give a detailed context. Okay, it doesn't matter how many points you have, but are you able to explain whatever that you got for us to be able to understand? So Cynthia, I can see that your mic is on, or rather, do you want to give us further explanations into your point? Cynthia, you want us to get more explanations? You have disappeared. So did you get Dennis? Did you get Dennis? Okay. And something else that you'll need to understand is that even for you to be able to do maybe a research on maybe a small topic or a subtopic, then you are able even to explain it to your friends or your colleagues. Maybe if they are not able even to understand something, or maybe uh, they weren't even in that class. So you are even able to explain it, and you won't even forget. So I think Dennis is not with us. Maybe I can be able to continue and try to wind up on this topic, as I'm going to send you notes afterwards. So they have talked much on maybe the responsibilities, the duties that the hotelier has to the guest, and also they have touched on what the guest, the responsibility of the guest also to the hotelier, because it is a relationship. So I'll be able to maybe touch a few of the duties, maybe the ones that they were not able to touch. So Cynthia, mute your mic. So when you're talking about the duties of the innkeeper, having the scenario of of you having a guest at home and how you're going to treat them and making their stay comfortable until the day that they're going to leave. So just bring yourself to maybe the duties of the innkeeper in a professional way. Number one, we talked about them receiving the guest, which was more clearer, whereby, of course, you have to make sure that the guest is welcomed into the establishment and they feel comfortable even walking into the hotel, and making sure that the accommodation which they had booked earlier is exactly what you are providing for them, and you are making sure that any possible dangers, of course, they are away from the guest. Okay, so another responsibility we can talk about is reservation of the guests. So you note that whenever you are maybe when a guest is coming into the hotel, the first thing, of course, you will always ask them is about their reservations, okay? You'll always want to make reservations for your guests. It is very important to be able to encourage even the guests to be able to make prior reservations for them to be able to get exactly the rooms that they want, or maybe the services that they might be able to require in between. Like, for example, if it is a couple which is in honeymoon, you'd always want to make your reservations earlier because a lot goes on. I think you are also doing housekeeping, and practically you'll notice housekeeping, it has a lot of skills that come with it. It's not only about you making sure that you clean the rooms, making sure that they are presentable for the guests and so on, but you'll also need make sure that you are equipped with a few skills, or rather, maybe, for example, when you are maybe the room steward. Okay, most of the time we call them the room stewards, people who normally clean the rooms. So they have different names depending on the organization and so on, but most of the time we refer them to the room steward. So you will find that the room steward, whenever they are maybe preparing the room and so on, they will always want to know the occasion. Like, for example, if it is honeymoon and the guests booked early and they said maybe they are coming on a specific date, then the room steward who is going to work on that room, they will always make sure that they make that room presentable for the guest. Like, for example, they will always make sure that maybe they wrap the towels maybe in a nice way. Like, for example, they'll create a duck or a flamingo. Okay, they will create maybe a love art, and they will maybe put a lot of roses, the petals, and they will always make that room look like a honeymoon room. Okay, apart from cleaning and so on, but also you will always try to interpret the theme. Okay, you will interpret the theme according maybe to the to how the guest maybe wanted to check in as. Okay, if it is a honeymoon couple and so on. And that's why when you are doing maybe a front office, I think you have already done front office unit, you are always equipped with skills on how maybe you can be able to engage the guest. Okay, like, for example, you'll always ask them, okay, like, for how long are they staying? Are they a couple, or do they have any preferences, or would they like extra services and so on? So you will keep on engaging the guests for you to be able to know exactly what kind of guests they are. Like, for instance, let's say you are taking a call from a pastor, and the pastor is going to stay there for like 1 or 2 days. So you will have to make sure that if it is a pastor who is coming into the room, then there is actually nothing like alcohol. Okay, Okay, pastas and alcohol is actually two separate ways. Okay, so you will make sure that even if you have a minibar in the room, you will have to remove all the alcohol for them to be able to feel comfortable. At least they won't be able. You don't. It is not even ethical or good or professional to be able to even to tempt the pastor. Okay, you having the to put alcohol and it is a pastor who has checked in and so on, it is really not good. Okay, it's like you're leading them into temptation, and trust me, it is not professional to do that. And that's why it is very important to be able to know even the person who normally is going to check in. And that's why reservation is one of the responsibilities of the hotelier, to be able to know that this is exactly what this guest wants, and you're going to provide them exactly what they will need, or the basic requirements for their stay to be comfortable and so on. So I think another responsibility, apart from them making sure that they have maybe food, refreshments, of course. You have to make sure that at least you offer them meals and drinks, which they will pay for them, unless it is a compliment, or it's a complimentary meal. But unless it is a complimentary meal, of course, you provide meals and drinks, which they will have to pay for them. So, and also making sure that you provide safe premises, make sure that at least there are no security threats. And that's why you always make sure, you as a hotelier, you make sure that at least there is adequate security. You provide safes in the room. Okay, you'll get to find their safes in the room and so on, for them to be able even to put their valuables in. And of course, because we are also under the safes, then you notice that even in the safes, there are valuable things that you have to keep there. Okay, you just don't keep anything. Of course, maybe for example, if it is their money, they will keep. You will always tell them. You'll always, actually, if you're a room steward, you always guide the guest. Okay, maybe you will always tell them. You'll always introduce them to the room, and you will always tell them about maybe if they need anything, where to find them. And if the room steward doesn't do that, of course, the front office people always have to give them directions, or maybe they will always give them maybe a brochure leading them to, where to find other things. And of course, if you find that you are maybe room steward inside there, you will always try to guide them. You tell them that if they have their money, if they have their jewelry, expensive things, okay, they will always have to keep them in the safe. Okay, so that is a way for you to be able to ensure that you are making sure that the guest, stays safe, and their properties are also safe, because you are the one who is accountable to. Okay, whenever maybe something gets lost, the law always catches up with you. They will always ask, did you inform them? Okay, remember that this falls under law, and when you're talking about law, of course, it cuts across. Okay, so you will always be asked, did you even inform the guest about the presence of a safe? Okay, did you even tell them that they needed to put their safe, their expensive maybe things inside the safes and so on? So it is part of your responsibility not to just think that they will automatically know that these things, okay, are supposed to be put there, but you'll always have to tell them. And of course, even in the hotel industry, there are theft. Okay, even if you employ someone, you'll always never know about their personal attributes. There are people who have very bad personal attributes. They steal anything that they find. Okay, if you're a room steward, for instance, you'll maybe tend to clean the room, and maybe an evil thought comes into you, and you want to steal maybe a diamond, or maybe something expensive that you found in the room, and so on. So just to prevent all this, you will always have to be heads up and make sure that you notify the guest, because you'll never know. Okay, you'll never know actually the people even you are working with, and the safety that comes around with, but also the giving the guest the right information will also enable you to ensure that you help them keep themselves and the properties safe. So those are some of the duties. There are so many that are there, so I'll send you the notes and you'll read through, but basically those are the most important ones. And I want to touch on, as much as a guest has the responsibility to offer accommodation to the guest, they also have a responsibility to refuse. Okay, I'm not always in a position to offer anyone, okay, accommodation into the hotel. So there are people who are unacceptable for the provision of services. Like, for example, you as a hotelier, you have a right to refuse accommodation to guests who are criminals, for instance. Like, for example, you just don't accept anyone, and that's why in front office you're equipped with skills on how you can be able to even get to know exactly who is checking into the room. Okay. Most of the time, there is always a blacklist for people who maybe have done some incidences. Like, for example, that's why it is very good to have a good working relationship with other hotels, for instance. So if, for example, you are a 5-star rated hotel, you're Intercontinental, you're working in Intercontinental hotels, Sarova, name them, okay, there's so many. So you'll note that if you have a good working relationship, and maybe, for example, there is a guest who maybe went into Sarova Stanley and maybe walk away with something, maybe stole something, or refused even to pay for services. They're always included in the blacklist, okay? And their names are normally circulated in all the hotels. So you can be able even to know, okay? So if, for example, they're coming into the room, into your hotel, you always have to go to get to the even to actually check, okay? Are they even falling under the list of the ones who are described as who are blacklisted? Or, for instance, are they even people who are who are wanted by the courts and so on? So it is very important. You are not only there just to make sure that they are comfortable, but also making sure that at least you don't permit people who are not of good, do not have good discipline and so on. So another person who a hotelier is not supposed to, or rather cannot provide in accommodation to, is maybe a drunkard person, for instance. So if you are drunk, then definitely there is no way that you can be provided accommodation to, okay? Because someone who is drunk, they are not able to think wisely, and neither are they even able to sign even those contracts, okay? So, for instance, a drunk person walks into your hotel, and you're working maybe in Villarosa Kempinski, for instance, and by chance you get to maybe allow them into the hotel, okay? So remember, they were maybe, when they are checking in, they were just lying to you, giving you lies, and telling you that they are going to pay even in the morning, and you are like, okay, let me just give them, because you really want to also make some profits. So in the morning they wake up and they are like, even who brought me into this hotel? Okay, you are not even able to they are not even able to pay, okay, to pay for the services of or the accommodation, because they are even not aware on how they got themselves there. So you have to make sure that these people you are going to if you notice that they are drunk, please, you have to call security to throw them away, because to avoid any misunderstandings, or for example, they might even walk in and break everything, okay? So remember, the drunkard people, of course, you can't take them to court, because of course they were under the influence of alcohol, and of course they were not of their right minds to make a decision. So you cannot judge them, and the best thing you can do is just making sure that you do not provide accommodation too. Don't provide accommodation to them. So some other people who you cannot provide accommodation to, of course, there are people definitely who can't even pay for the accommodation. They are unable to pay. So you make sure that you do not even permit them into the rooms, because if you keep on permitting people who are unable to pay, and you always end up paying from your own pocket, it is not really good. So also, people who fail to register as guests. So if someone does not even feel comfortable registering as a guest, remember that each and every time a guest comes into the hotel, they need to give their own, they need also to give maybe their names. They will need to provide the IDs for you to be able to know who they are. Maybe, for example, if they are working with a certain organization, they also need to provide this information. As much as it is not good for you to be able to know the much information about them, but also the hotel, due to the laws that we are given as hoteliers, we are permitted to be able to get all this data, and also to assure safety, okay, safety and privacy. So there is no way that you can be able to give this information to any other person, but it is good to always have them in case of incidences which might occur. So at least you know exactly who you have permitted into the rooms and so on. So basically, there are so many, and maybe I think you might even be having other examples. There are other examples which maybe you might be having. So anyone who has any other example who can give us, maybe some people who we can't permit into the rooms. So not only into the rooms, but also into the hotel, okay? Basically into the hotel, even if they are supposed to come drink or eat, so you can't even allow them. So sometimes even physical appearance can also make us not make the hotelier refuse. Like, for example, if someone is not clean, if someone is unkempt, okay, so you will always not want to allow them, okay, because you might ask, okay, why are we discriminating on this basis of maybe why shouldn't we just allow anyone? It is not about a discrimination, but note that even if if it is a hotel industry, it is we people are there to make profits. Okay, people are there. It is a business. Okay, so if it is an individual property, okay, someone who used a lot of money and maybe they have their own objectives and so on. So if they refuse people who are not clean, and that's why you always find that they even security people, even they put security people even to be able even to judge whether you are even capable of paying bills even before going into the hotel. So if you are unclean, then definitely remember that your establishment also, maybe for example, you have very important people. Okay, you have the CEOs coming in, you have ministers, you have cabinet people. So you'll notice that you don't want to make the other people feel uncomfortable, maybe accepting anyone. Okay, and that's why the hotel is always classified. So meaning, even there are some people who can just go to a small place. Like for example, let's say you can't just expect maybe a president or a vice president or um, or a very prominent person just to eat in any place. Okay, even in a kibanda or somewhere or in a shanty. You'll always find them, going to where the class is. Okay. So unless they're just doing PR for politics, okay, in their normal way, they will always want to, eat where it is very classy, okay, where they can't even get people who are busy begging outside and so on. And so it actually comes with class. And if you say that you're going maybe not to allow these people inside your hotel, at the end of the day, it is your property and you have a right as a hotelier to do that, okay? So no one needs to tell you otherwise. So I think maybe I think I can mention about individuals, of course, who are suffering from contagious diseases, and that's why actually we bring the corona thing here, whereby you find that because corona is a bit contagious, so you find that you won't even be allowed. Okay, that's why you'll always find, even if you are going to go into a supermarket or maybe going to military or somewhere, you'll always find someone standing there and trying to measure your temperatures. Okay, so if your temperatures are high, definitely you won't be allowed there. Okay, they'll either send you to the hospital or maybe send you away, because they don't you won't be required to enter into a premise and also spread the disease to other people. So you see that it is something that is permitted, and of course it is under the constitution. Of course it is under the laws, and if you are able to refuse admitting them into your hotel, then it is permittable. Okay, so there are so many, but in any point that you give out, you also need to be able to explain it in reference to maybe innkeepers' responsibilities and responsibilities also that they are allowed not to give accommodation to such individuals. So you need to explain them well for you to be able to get the marks.
Question:
Yes.
are you able to enter with a domestic animal in the hotel, like a dog or a cat? Personal
So
pet.
okay, so that one, Peter, depends. Okay, it depends, but most establishments or rather hotels, they do not permit, Okay, they do not permit, and that's why you find that it is very important, even if you are a guest and you are walking into a hotel, there are always notices on the door or the walls or somewhere, okay, that are there to tell you, maybe, for example, you always see the no smoking sign, okay? Like you want to smoke and you are eating maybe in a cafe or in a restaurant, and you will always see a sign that tells you no smoking, okay? So definitely, if the hotel does not allow pets, Peter, then they will just be able to maybe write it there: no animals, no pets, or rather nothing is allowed there. Okay, whatever they do not allow, you will have to display. And that's why when you are talking about these laws, okay, when you are talking about laws, each and every time you as a hotelier, you're coming up with this establishment, or you want you have a certain criteria of people who you want to come into your hotel, you will always have to give a notice. You will always make it clear, or rather, even if it is in your booking, okay, even in the contract of booking. So the ones who are going to talk about, we are going to talk more on this under the contract of booking. So you will notice that those things that are not even written, are not displayed, they are written, okay, in the contract that you're going to sign to be abiding, trying to stay into the rooms and so on. So you will find that they have already indicated things that you are supposed to do and things that you are not supposed to do. They are already indicated there for you to be able to see them. Okay, and that's why it is very important whenever you're given that brochure together with the keys and any other instructions that they might not have told you, it is very important for you to go through them so that you do not find yourself, on the other side. Okay, so remember that whenever that you are found doing the wrong thing, you don't expect them to treat you in a very hospitable way, because number one, they have already notified you you're not supposed to do that. And Peter, of course, a hotel always tells you, okay, gives you information. So immediately you walk with a cat or a dog, you'll always be stopped. If that hotel does not allow pets, they will always stop you at the door and they will tell you that we do not allow pets. Okay, maybe you go to another hotel and so on. So that information is always provided either in a display form, or they have a written brochure document showing that. And that leads me to an incident that happened. I think there is this politician. I think she was a lady. I think, where is she from? Trying to remember. It happened a while back. Okay, so if I remember the name, I'll be able to tell you. She tried to go, maybe, I think, Kericho, to get accommodation, and she was actually refused accommodation. She was refused accommodation because, number one, the partner that she was with, they did not have a marriage certificate. Okay, so you notice that even if you are going to walk into the hotel, it is not automatic that any hotel is going just to allow you maybe to sleep with the other person, maybe of the different gender, okay, in the same room, unless you provide evidence, okay, to show that this is your legitimate husband, and so there is no problem. Okay, so if it is your legitimate husband, that's when maybe you can book one room. But if the person is not your legitimate husband, you will have to book 2 rooms. Okay, so she actually tried suing the hotel and so on, and the hotel argued that they are Christian organization, so they really, want to, they have specific rules. Okay, they have already indicated, and when they went to court and so on, you noted that even the hotel was on the right side. Okay, because the hotel had it was already indicated for them. Okay, they had already indicated that you cannot be able to, you know, stay in a room if you don't have a marriage certificate. Okay, so if you want to go to certain hotels, and that's why it is very important to be able even to make prior bookings or prior reservations, because at least you get to ask these questions. Do they even allow you to be able to go to a room with maybe the other partner and so on, even without documents, you know? So if you do not get to ask this information, you might even think that you're going to sue the hotel, but you do not have the rights to do that, because definitely if they have documents to show, then you will always be on the losing side. Okay, so, and I remember there is also another time which a woman is, especially there's a restaurant in town, which there was a lady who was breastfeeding, and they actually threw her out. Okay, I think everyone can remember that one. So maybe when she was thrown out and people were going so wild, why do you even have to, you know, is it bad to breastfeed in a hotel and so on? A lot of people argued it from different views, but as hotelier people, we have a right to refuse services. Okay, we have a right to refuse services. It is our right, and because it is our right, then if we say that we do not want women who breastfeed, then definitely that is our rule. Okay, and as long as you had already, you know, notified it before, or rather you had a display there showing that there is no breastfeeding, okay, then you are always on the right side. Okay, so the only way that you will find yourself on the other side of the law is whereby you are refusing a service which you have not even documented anywhere. You have not even made the other person know that this is not acceptable in your hotel, and so on. So if you do not have an evidence to show that this is not something that you have permitted in your hotel, then definitely the guest is going to be right. But if you have something that is documented, then you are going to be always right. Okay, and that's why it is important. And you notice that that's why we started even from the top when you're talking about the law, and we are trying to come to understand what a law is. Okay, trying to understand that apart from us having laws, we have the public laws which are for general, for everyone, and we also have private laws. Okay, and of course, when we are talking about hotels, then we also have our own private laws that anyone who wants to dine and get accommodation from us has to abide to those laws. Okay, so if they go against those laws, then of course you can be able to choose to throw them out, or you know, they can get the consequences. Okay, so the laws have to apply, and they are very crucial, and it is very important as a hotelier to make sure that if you have certain laws, you notify them to your guest. Okay, so a guest shouldn't be in a position whereby they actually don't know what is happening. Okay, so they even don't know whether it is a wrong or a right. So provide this information to them so that at least they choose whether they are going to stay there or not. So at the end of the day, it is a decision that someone has to make. So basically, that is, I think I have answered your question widely, Peter. So I think that is basically about the hotelier and the guest. So make sure that immediately I upload these notes, you go through them for you to be able to understand them better. And of course, in those notes, you'll find maybe a bit of revision questions. Always go through the revision questions. They make you understand better on maybe a few things that maybe you might have skipped. Okay, so unless there is any question at this point, anyone with a question?
I wanted to ask a question.
Yes, Redemptor?
Do these laws as I wanted to, because there is a person that's working before this pandemic. So as we started the bistro, the rules were very tight, like the dress code of the guests. Anybody who has worn on a ragged clothes was not supposed to come in. But with time, it came to everybody was now coming in. Do they deteriorate or I wanted to
So Redemptor, I can't be able to understand you because you are breaking so much. I don't know whether it is happening on the side only. The question is not really coming out clear. I'm really struggling to piece in what you are saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
unless maybe, yeah, can you go again?
was asking, I was asking, do these rules abide by the hotel or hotelier deteriorate my time?
Redemptor, you are really, your voice is really breaking so much. So,
Okay, let me
can you be able to type? Please type your question for us to be able, maybe, if anyone in the group might even be having an answer, then they can be able to even assist you too. So anyone else with a question, please, this is the time to be able to ask this question.
A question.
Yes, Peter?
You say that some hotels cannot allow somebody who has ragged clothes in their hotel,
Someone?
or maybe has a dress code. Is there a specific dress code that some hotels have so that you can enter the hotel?
Okay. Yeah, Peter, I've gotten your question. You're asking about the dress code. Is there maybe a specific dress code for the hotel? No, I didn't talk about the dress code. I talked about maybe the physical appearance. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say, like, for example, you're just wearing ragged or tattered clothes. Okay. Let's just say like a street boy. Okay. For instance, like, for example, a street boy. Okay.
Okay.
Like, of course, you can't allow such. It is not about talking on the discriminatory part. Okay. We are not being, it's not about, you know, being, are we discriminating people not to enter into the hotel? I don't want such debate and so on. But it is about you and the rules that you have put, okay, into your hotel. Okay, like, for instance, of course, remember I started saying that hotel industry is a business industry, and it is maybe a personal entity or a group entity. It depends. Okay, the people who started it, and of course they have objectives on what they want to attain at the end, maybe at the end of the year, at the end of the month, depending on how they have, projected their profits and so on. So you'll notice that if it is maybe, for example, a 5-star, okay, star rated hotel, So I was saying, sorry for that. Sorry for that. So I was just answering on that question about is there a dress code or whatever, why not why refuse services to such category of people and so on. So I was just trying to explain to Peter that from the angle of you being a star-rated hotel, you have a category of people who you want to come into your hotel. Maybe you are targeting prominent people. And so if it is prominent people, then definitely you don't want to make them uncomfortable. The people who just dislike poverty, okay, the people who just can't they don't want to just see the sight of a street boy or someone who is dressed tattered, okay, maybe they might end up not enjoying their meal, or maybe they will want to go away from your hotel because you just accept anyone. So to prevent that, that's why maybe you will have to narrow down the kind of guests that you want into your establishment. Okay, so I guess everyone can hear me at this point. Everyone can hear me.
Yes.
So Peter, are we together? It's not, do not argue from the point of a dress code. Just maybe you can talk about maybe unkempt individuals or unclean individuals. Okay, try to argue it from that perspective, but do not maybe write down that maybe people dressed of a different caliber of dress code and so on. So if you want that point, have to write it down as maybe refusing accommodation maybe to a guest who is unkempt, or an individual who is what? Unclean, okay? Then maybe you can explain it in your own words to bring out your point. So Redemptor, well, you wanted to even answer that question due to your own experience. That is good. You can go ahead, Redemptor.
Okay. I don't know if I'm breaking again. I wanted to ask that question due to experience.
You are
Where
clear now, Redemptor.
I was working a while ago. As we opened the bistro, the rules were very tight, like we didn't wanted anybody with a rugged inside. But with time, everybody is coming in. Now you are shocked. These things have already been demolished.
Hey, Redemptor, you really have a very good example, but you kept on breaking. I really don't know what is happening from your side. Could have wanted to hear that
Maybe the
experience. Come again?
connection.
Unless you try restarting again the same way you did last time, then maybe it can be able to assist us at least. It is very good also to give your own experiences. If maybe you have worked in an establishment maybe and you noted something of the sort, or maybe from your own personal experience you walked into a hotel and maybe a certain guest was refused maybe accommodation, or maybe they were refused not to join in. I know you have all these examples, so try to give them here. Mary, you want to say something?
Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Like in the hotels, you find that sometimes they offer beer and alcohol.
Yes.
Does it have a certain limit that can't affect the guest?
So Mary, I think we to answer your question well, we'll be able to do there's a topic called alcohol, okay, alcohol and licensing. So we'll be able to talk more on even how to deal with guests who are alcoholic and so on. So basically, just in a nutshell, when you're talking about, is there a limit, like for example, of alcohol and so what? So actually, we are just allowed to serve 3 beers. I know it might be funny. Only 3 beers to the guest, okay? As an maybe a hotel industry, just that people overrule it and they serve so much alcohol and so on, just because they need more profit at the end of the day. But actually we are actually allowed to serve only 3 beers to 1 guest, okay? So just to avoid drunkard individuals, okay? People sometimes can be out of order, and if they become out of order, then definitely you won't be able to control them, okay? So there is a limit, and we are going to talk more on that, on how even at the times that we are supposed even to serve the alcohol, and who are we not supposed to serve the alcohol to, and what are we supposed to make sure that we comply to, and so on. So I think we can maybe come back to your question again, but there's always a limit, Mary. So Redemptor, have you? So Redemptor, I think I can go back to your question. You're asking if these rules deteriorate by time. So definitely the rules, as much as you're putting these rules into place, remember, maybe, for example, you're a new establishment or you just started your hotel and so on. So these rules can keep on changing, okay? They will keep on changing depending on maybe change of clients, okay? Maybe, for example, maybe change of star, okay? Maybe you are 1 star, then you become a 2 star, you become a 3 star. You keep on changing your rules to be able to suit the kind of class that you have been. I think maybe at the end of the unit, I'll be able to share with you, or rather, I think there's a topic that we're going to cover, and I'll be able to share with you how do we even change maybe a 1 star to a 2 star or a 3 star. What are some of the criteria that are put in place by the TRA, that is the Tourism Regulatory Authority, to ensure that maybe a 1 star has really qualified to be a 1 star, or a 2 stars qualified to be a 2 star, and so on. So these are some of the things that we'll be able to look at them. So just be patient. And of course, the laws are going to change depending, number one, maybe variation of the stars. Maybe it has gone up or it has come down. Okay, it depends either way. So, or rather, maybe if the ownership of the hotel has changed. Okay, maybe it was a Christian hotel, maybe it sold it to another person and they come up with the new ideas and they throw away the old laws and so on. So there are so many factors that really make the laws change, and of course they will always change. Okay, remember this, the laws under the hotel, they are private laws, okay? So they are affecting the people who maybe are going to work there, or people who are going to come into that hotel. So they'll keep on changing, okay? So there are different factors, Redemptor. So I think, Redemptor, have you Have you made your mic? I just wanted us, you had an experience that you wanted to share with us. Is your mic okay, Redemptor?
It's okay.
Okay, come again now with that point.
I wanted to point as from experience where I was in the bistro. First, we started the bistro. The rules were therefore no one was supposed to come in with a bucket closer or that, but with the everybody now started coming.
Still breaking, still breaking. Okay. But I think you are. I think I could only get that maybe you are saying that maybe the bistro that you are working at, maybe people were not allowed to come in with ragged clothes. Then maybe as time changed on, were they allowed to come with those ragged clothes, or they just got to adopt to the new system?
They just came. No, there's no action taken against them. They are in.
So they kept coming in with the ragged clothes. Yes,
Yes,
no.
but now the rules he was acting upon. Now people just
So Redemptor there. Then the last points I couldn't get them well. Maybe we can remind you next time to start with that experience of yours. So I think we can wind up on that if there is no any other question.